sometimes paid lawyers are a scam. My phrase is comply, never consent.
Does the bail system exploit poor people?
Throwing out $1,000 would be hard for me right now.
Bro, that would be hard for me right now.
The majority of times where bail is being asked by prosecutors, but the judge is making this decision without seeing any evidence. So what happens is,
Word?
yes,
Yeah.
like nothing.
Do you think the concept of prison and mass incarceration is the only way to keep people safe?
Are prisons really keeping anyone safe? I mean, in my opinion, not really.
The more police presence does not make people feel safe. I'm actually more on edge if I walk somewhere. and
I
I see
never
mad
Very
police.
on it.
How often do you think false convictions based on racial bias happen to innocent people?
It's because somebody gave a description of the perpetrator.
Mhm.
And the description is usually black man, 5'6" to 5'8", wearing black t-shirt. You know what I'm saying?
That's like,
So
all of that is just a great chance of finding
you know,
a
the
innocent nigga.
police just riding around.
Right.
As soon as they see a nigga that's 5'6"
like,
or
there you go.
5'8" black, that nigga right there.
That's
That's
him right
him.
there. You guys did an episode a while ago, and I remember you, Amani, saying that you don't think anybody should go to jail, regardless of what they did. Can you help me understand a little bit why you feel that way?
Right, some
Maybe
treatment.
have the
Anybody who's
family-
shooting somebody and killing an innocent person got something wrong in his mental.
Mhm.
America does not have no moral authority to be laying no punishment on people.
Mm.
This country has committed harm on killing and killing one after the other. Even if that person has killed someone, the response is not, okay, we're gonna kill you back. You don't have that moral authority. Nobody does.
These laws are written by powerful white men
Mhm.
who own slaves
Mhm.
and do not give a fuck about black people.
I think the root behind most wrongs, and it's particularly in America, is capitalism. It's the root, I think, behind racism. It's the root behind so many issues. Is this idea of capitalism. We don't give free legal advice.
Nah,
Yeah.
it's just
We
free
just
game.
give out free game.
It's just
Yeah,
free
it's free
game.
game. Welcome back to the Halfway Up podcast, and I call it Halfway Up because you're never finished rising. And today, I could say a lot, but I'm gonna just allow my guests, give them opportunity to explain who they are by introducing yourself. Man, please tell me who you are.
I'm Conrad. One half of the Brother-in-Law's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a public defender.
Mm-hmm.
I also am a policy advocate,
Mm-hmm.
all in one.
Mm-hmm.
So I am. You know, I'm also a brother, you know, just a young brother in
Sure.
Harlem.
Word. Yeah, my name is Imani. I am a supervising attorney and a public defender as well. The second half of the Brothers-in-Law podcast
Yeah.
on our platform. It started off as like a Know Your Rights platform where we get on and talk about our rights and our powers,
Mm-hmm.
but it's grown. We kind of share all things law and life related. So anybody who's had any kind of interaction with the legal system can come in and talk about the experience, whether they're experts or if had like a family member affected by the policing system or things like that. So
Yeah, for sure.
anything that has to do with the law, we kind of touch it.
Yeah.
On
I
that
think
basis.
a big thing for us was that we know that access to legal information seems so cabined, right? Like
Mhm. It definitely
people
is.
gatekeep it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We were trying to undo the gatekeeping. We're trying to open the gate, you know,
Yeah.
and let this information out. to
That's
everybody.
important.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I noticed that both of y'all said that y'all were public defenders.
hmm
Can you explain to people what that means? What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, I mean, I can do it. Public defender means we are a court-appointed attorney to people who can't afford a lawyer. That the counterpart to that would be a privately hired attorney who's paid by certain individuals. But we are appointed to people who are indigent or can't afford a
So
lawyer.
you're the lawyer people usually don't want.
You know, yeah, they call it
That's what they say, bro.
That's what they say.
They have us looking bad everywhere,
Yeah.
man.
What is that about though? Because
public
you know,
pretenders, what they used to call us, all kinds of things. man.
yeah, I heard the story from a couple of different people, but like what comes to mind is 19 Keys was saying he was y'all familiar with 19 Keys?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So he was saying he was on trial, and he was trying to defend himself, and then he had a public defender, and then the dude was just like, I don't know what he was like. He wasn't adept, he wasn't smart, he just wasn't really well rounded, and so he took it upon himself to educate himself, and then he started teaching the person who was defending him shit that he should have known. You know what I mean? And then he was like, yeah, we can do this, and he was like, I ain't even think about that, and won the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Defended
Dang.
himself. Like I don't know if you can actually fire your public defender, but he was just like, I'm not gonna need
I
you
mean,
on
you
this
can.
one.
You just
You can.
gonna get another one. You're just gonna get a different one. you
Oh,
know?
like is it mandatory they're gonna give you another
I
one?
mean, unless you got money to pay for a private attorney.
I'm sure.
Right.
did,
Mo-
but-
most judges won't allow you to be unrepresented.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like you may be able to like do the trial yourself.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
somebody's got to be appointed to be some kind of advisor or counsel to you. Whether you listen to them or not, it's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, thank you for breaking that down because I didn't know what a public defender was.
No, but I do want to talk a little bit about that.
Let's do it. Yeah.
That perception.
Character.
Yeah.
I feel like it comes from maybe an actual true place. I think the idea is public defenders are known to be underpaid. I mean, overpaid, overworked, and underpaid.
It's crazy how the most needed jobs in the world are like that.
Right.
Same ingredients.
Yeah.
Nurses, whatever.
So the optics is you have your public defender who has like 100 files, a sloppy suit, doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
I think the reality is that may have
Baggy
come from
pants.
Stains on his shirt.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean?
They come up, they forgot your name, they don't know what's going on. And I think that there was once a world in which that was the reality. Maybe there's still places where that is the reality. But we are in 2025 now. And like most people in today's day and age who choose to become public defenders chose to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
So we're doing this work because we chose to. Me and Conrad both went to good law schools and we could have gone into any profession, but we chose to become public defenders.
Yeah, that was a choice.
Right, that was a
Intentional.
choice, meaning that we care about this work and that we care about being good at what we do. So I think in 2025, your average public defender is not going to be the kind of person who doesn't know what they're doing, who doesn't want to be there, who's kind of just this incompetent person. No, a lot of people where we work come from Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
And like turn down, really big money, high paying jobs to be public defender because we care about the work that we do.
So then where does that perception come from then? Because you're right. It's like you're not a slouch if you go to an Ivy League school. It takes way too much time, way too much money.
Right.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So then why is this weird perception where it's like, oh, these dudes is like scumbags, somewhere eating donuts in a brown paper bag? Like
I think unfortunately the bad apples in the profession are what got the most attention. Right? Like there are good and bad lawyers. They're good and bad private lawyers.
There's good and bad in every
public
space.
Defenders, right? I think the bad public defenders are the ones that got us the bad rap, right? Because, just like Imani was saying, back in the day, there were a lot of public defenders that were overworked, right? And so, they would go into it, not be prepared for their case, not know their client's name, and their client had that one bad experience with the public defender, and then that client told the next person that my public defender did this, and then the next person, right? All the way up till we have people who are like, known rappers that talk about not wanting a public defender because of their bad experience. So I think it's just like the word of mouth that spread because of like an experience with a bad attorney.
And one thing I will add to that is I also think that like sometimes paid lawyers are a scam. And to give you just a quick story. Hey, I'm telling you. So
shooting from the hip?
Yeah, from the hip.
So here in New York, most domestic violence arrests cases get dismissed. You're required to proceed on a case within 90 days for a lot of cases, and if you don't do it in 90 days, case gets dismissed. What happens in many circumstances, someone gets arrested for a domestic violence case, hires a private lawyer, got to pay 2K retainer, and then more money for the next 90 days for a case that's just going to end up getting dismissed.
Damn.
And the private lawyer will accept that money happily and will get paid. Where in most circumstances, if you had a public defender, cases also getting dismissed because that's just the way that the case is going to actually end up
for something that
going.
you could easily do.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing something just way more advanced than what you're doing as a public defender.
Right, which is what I think is
not at all.
what
Chances
I
are
see.
they ain't gonna have to do anything on that case.
It got dismissed. I'm getting paid.
Right, which is why I sometimes battle with the idea of going private. Is because like, I know I will be finessing people sometimes.
Yeah.
And if I can
Easy
make
money.
sure, it's hard. It's hard for me to conceptualize.
What is there like a cap to how much a public defender can make?
Like their salary, the public defender salary? No, there's not a cap.
Oh, so it's just levels to being public defenders.
I mean, it depends on how much money the city is willing to give public defenders, right? Like our salary is probably set by whoever's the boss in our office, and they set that salary based on how much money the office has. But I think generally the field, like the public defense field, your office is going to try and match whatever other public defenders are making at other offices. So it's usually just set by whatever the industry standard is. But there's no law saying public defenders can only make this much money and that's it. That's the cutoff.
Right.
How much do you think a public defender should be making?
Ooh, as much as the people in private firms. That's how I'm gonna say it.
Yeah. As a private lawyer, your first year out of law school, your base salary is going to be $190. Working at working at a corporate law firm. I think at minimum we should be getting that same amount of money. I think we're working similar hours, and I think the work that we're doing is more valuable.
Yeah. So I want y'all to tell me a little bit about your podcast a little bit more too. But before I do, the reason why I wanted y'all to be on is because me and you have been talking for a while the more I started to find out about the podcast, or the more I started to like sit in on your sessions and record the sessions and stuff like that, it just became so clear to me how important this is, that what y'all doing. The way I felt about it was like no different than Earn Your Leisure as a financial literacy podcast, right? Where it's like two Black men who walk like us and talk like us, and they feel like me, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a natural, I can let my guard down a little bit because I feel like I'm being represented at the highest level in a space that I'm completely unfamiliar with, by somebody who looks like they could be my family member. And I think that's why Earn Your Leisure, I mean, literally like they're the biggest financial literacy podcast that happens to be Black owned. They literally have one of the highest grossing, most popular investment financial literacy festivals, right? So they're literally doing unprecedented things. But I see the same thing when I see what y'all doing. Like literally our community is so used to being victims, you know what I mean? And not being necessarily empowered by information. You know, it's like, I don't know what the fuck my Fifth Amendment is right now. You know what I mean? And I would say that I'm an intelligent man, but it's just certain stuff you just don't know. And so to think that you could have this podcast and people could go to you and listen to you and feel comfortable because you look like their cousins or you look like their brothers and be empowered by the information, bro, I just think that's life-changing, bro. It's literally, it's groundbreaking information, because like where else can you go other than just like look up like a YouTube video? You can look something up on YouTube, but I'd rather get it from like a centralized place where it just feels like a family vibe. You know what I mean? When I see y'all, I just see two good Black men.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
And obviously I don't think there's anything soft about the work that y'all do. I'm sure it's very hard. I'm sure you got to fight a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's my perspective. That's why I wanted you on the podcast. But I want to hear from y'all. What is the Brothers-in-Law podcast? Why did you start it? Just tell me whatever.
I'm gonna let the founder take that one.
Oh, you let the founder take it?
I mean, I could take it. So for me, what it was is, I think we were like 6 years in the game. And I just had a revelation. Like I've learned so much in these 6 years about our rights and about our powers, but I only use what I know for the person who I'm directly representing. And it felt like I was doing a disservice to my community. Like, no, why don't I give access to what I know? That way people may not need my service, may not need our services at all. So it's kind of like a prevention tool. The more that we can educate people on our rights and our powers, people can be armed. Instead of being taken advantage of for being ignorant of our laws, they can now know exactly how to navigate themselves. Yeah. Basic example would be, interacting with the police on the street. If you know what they can and cannot do, you will move safer. You can avoid yourself from being in a situation. But like, people don't know this information, and we know it. We know it very well because we deal with this on a daily basis. Yeah. So I really just wanted to arm people. Like I was like, nah. The more that we know, people said it sounds cliche, but knowledge is power. But it really
is. That shit is real, bro.
And especially when it comes to your criminal rights, especially in a city like New York where you can't walk 5 blocks without running into a police officer. Especially like in areas like the Bronx or Harlem, where like police presence is heavy. Like knowing how to move and knowing what police can and cannot do, what you can and cannot do, can be the difference between making it home, getting arrested, and being alive.
Absolutely. Or just having the best case scenario. Like you might have an experience with a cop who's being aggressive with you or something like that. And a lot of the time when I was growing up, when me and my homies was getting in trouble with the police, some of us was being quiet. Right. Some of them was getting like gangster back with them. And we was like, well, shut the fuck up. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, but I think that also comes from a lack of information. Exactly. You know what I mean? Because maybe if like, what would you advise? And I want to hear what you got to say about the podcast, but like, what would you advise a young Black man to do if he was pulled over by the cop, even though the cop was doing some bullshit? Like for us, we were smoking in the laundromat in Dallas, you know what I mean? And then just literally 4 or 5 police officers literally pulled up. I don't even know why they was there, but they definitely pulled up in that bitch. Like, what would your advice be in a situation like that to a hothead, which is a lot of the kids?
The police are going to do what they want to do no matter what.
Solid
whatever
advice.
You say is not going to stop them. They already have in their mind what they want to do to you, right? And they already made up in their mind what sort of like legal authority they have to do it, right? And so the best thing you could do for yourself is shut the fuck up, right? You stay quiet, right? You can ask them like benign questions, like what do you what's the basis for this? Why are you doing this? What's your legal authority to do this? But like otherwise, just shut up. They're going to do what they're going to do, and then you let your lawyer handle it on the back end, right?
Yeah, I got a phrase. My phrase is comply, never consent. Know what those two things mean and follow that rule. So for instance, if a cop goes, hey, Can I search your pocket? No, that's consent. Hey, can I open up your door? No, that's consent. Hey, can I come into your house? No, that's consent. But if they say, hey, stand right here, comply. If they say get out the car, comply. That's the difference, in my opinion, between what lawyers can use in your behalf and also just like police not roughing you up and you getting out as unscathed.
Have
as
you covered that
possible.
on the pod yet?
Not that thoroughly.
I think
we didn't do it
you
that thoroughly.
really need to cover that
Yeah.
because I think that would be kind of difficult to discern, especially when your heart's racing and your blood is boiling.
Right.
It's kind of hard to discern which is which.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, am I consenting or am I complying? Because I
Right.
think a lot of the time, what police officers do is like, obviously you're nervous. They got the advantage off
Yes.
rip.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then they proceed with like a lot of questions. You know what I mean? And then it's like maybe the first question or the second question you do all right.
Mhm.
And the third question, fourth question, start to lose a little confidence. You know what I mean? Now you didn't give him permission for something that you didn't even have to do that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Honestly, also I think the black community is the biggest problem. It's not really the hotheads. It's more so the people who think they can finesse their way out of this
Right.
situation. I think
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I
we
feel
run
like that's
into.
that. You feel like that's your only option,
Right. I mean, that was me.
can't.
That was me. Even when I was in law school, like if I get put over, I'm trying to finesse.
Finesse, for
Officer,
sure.
I only had one drink. I promise you, I'm good. I thought if I'm
Oh, you
being
had
honest,
one drink?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Right,
get out the
right.
car.
Yeah.
I thought if I give a little bit of the truth, the officer will give me some credibility and let me slide. But like, no, anytime I just admitted to drinking, number one.
Yeah.
And I'm driving.
I'm like, it's not. That's
I can get put over right now.
for sure. You're like,
And
get
almost
your ass out this car.
almost
nigga.
every case we have that involves a DWI, person said I had one or two
I only
drinks.
had one or two drinks.
Thinking
every
you, bro,
time.
I don't know why we be thinking this. I'm gonna just keep it a little real with him. It's like, no, he don't fuck with you. This is not your
Right,
friend.
He's not. Then you get arrested, you go back to the precinct, you blow into the machine.
Yikes.
The nigga has above like two times the legal limit, and like, no, you have more than two drinks. And now you admit it. And now they kind of have a shut and close case for you.
But what if he do ask you that? Should you just say no? Or what should you say? I want my lawyer. Like, what should you say?
I mean, you could say that. You could just refuse to answer the question, or you could say, I haven't had anything to drink.
like, I had 4 White Claws, bro. I'm Gucci. Like, I'm like 3 exits down from the crib.
Nah, for White
but-
Claws, he's saying get out the car.
You see what I'm saying?
But also, I don't know if this. You correct me if I'm wrong about this being bad
It's not even
advice.
liquor.
But I feel like all lies are not criminalized.
Same, yeah.
What does that mean? You need to be talking about this
Right.
shit, bro.
So, for instance, if
Take
a
these
police
notes.
officer pulls me over and I have 4 drinks and I say I had 0, I don't think I can be charged. I can be charged for lying in that.
Nah.
I can be.
Okay.
I can be.
Now
A lie.
might use it against
Right.
you.
A lie like
Okay.
giving him a false name. That's false
Oh, yeah,
impersonation.
that's
Yeah,
fraud.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't do that.
Those kind of lies, right? You can't do that. But like lies, like what you had to drink or how much you had to drink or where you're coming from, those aren't criminalized.
You don't gotta say all that.
Just
Right.
Think,
I need you to make consent and comply content and then that. I'm telling you, that's gonna
think about it, bro.
Say
It's
no
about
more.
what they could prove, right? If the cop really knew you had a drink, why would he ask you?
Yeah.
Right? He don't know exactly what you had, so you say, "No, I didn't drink anything. I
Yeah.
have nothing to drink, officer."
Yeah.
Right? Let them try to prove it on the back end somehow, right? Like,
So to play this out for you, I
Mhm.
get pulled over. Officer says license registration. You know why I pulled you over? Like, no, I don't. He asks you, have you been drinking? Like, no, I haven't.
But you have. But you say no.
I probably would say no.
I would say no.
Okay.
I probably would say no. I probably would say no.
Because
And
so
keep it at that.
because you said no, what are his options now?
They can continue asking questions
Yeah,
like, oh, but I
yeah.
can smell alcohol, or I can your eyes.
Like,
No,
I
look-
don't know
no,
that
you
too.
can't.
What I'm gonna say? Yeah. What I'm gonna say?
I can smell alcohol, or your eyes look a little bloodshot, a little watery. Come on, you've been drinking, right? No.
Yeah. no.
No.
Just straight up and down.
No. Like, don't give, like, why would you give them, why would you help them do their job? Don't help them
Yeah.
do their job. Their
And the-
job is to figure this out.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you should say is, am I free to
Am I
leave,
free to leave?
or am I being detained?
And what if he say you're not free to leave?
Then you're being detained. Then you wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
And if
want
you get
my
arrested,
lawyer.
you get arrested. But now, if you get arrested, you have not given them anything to use against you.
What if I just say nothing?
I
Like
mean-
literally nothing.
Nothing works too, right? Like, you haven't given them anything. It's just, like Imani said, consent or don't consent, but comply.
Right.
Right. If you're saying nothing, a cop could take that as non-compliance, right? And then he's
Mhm.
just going to be a dick to you.
Right.
Whereas if you're answering the question, at least like you engaging with him a little bit.
It's
You know
really
what? So there's 2 ways to look at it. There's how it can affect your case if you get arrested,
Mhm.
and like how it can affect like your liberty to go home.
Right.
That's the way I think you should be looking at
This
it.
is a lot.
Right.
Yes.
So if you
This
say
is why
no-
we need y'all. For
if
real.
you say nothing, it's great for your case.
Mhm.
You might still get arrested. but it's still waiting for your case.
Might as well take my chances.
Yeah, another way to say what Imani's been saying is your rights versus the realities, right? Like,
And third piece of content, rights versus reality. I'm serious.
like you have certain rights in the situation, but what's the reality of what's going to happen, right? Cop asks you to search your car. Your right is to say, no, you can't search my car, right? But like the reality is once you say, no, you can't search my car, they're going to try and figure out a way to get there, right? They're going to call the drug sniffing dog, or they're going to say, I smell whatever, or we got a report that you did X, Y, Z.
Cops are so
You
trash, bro.
just let me search it now and it'll be okay, right?
Yeah.
That's illegal for the cop to even go there after saying, no, you can't search my car.
Yeah.
Right, but they're going to do it anyway. That's the reality of the situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One time, this is a random story, and I still want to get to how you feel about the podcast, how you got here. But one time I had just bought a car, bro. Literally first day I had bought this car. And was we driving a little reckless? I don't think so. Maybe speeding a little bit. Maybe. You know what I mean? We literally pulled into the apartment complex. Literally just got into the spot. Like, stopped. Just got into the spot. Car pulled up behind us, hit the lights. We looking like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Nigga come through. I forgot. I don't know if he asked, can he check the car out or anything like that. I don't know if I told him yes, but I know he flashing the flashlight in the back of the car. And he was like, what's this shit down here? I'm like, what? I know it ain't shit down there. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's like, this shit right here. I look at what he fucking pointing at a piece of cotton. It's a brand new car. I just got the car. You know what I mean? He said, what type of weed is this? I'm like, sir, that's a piece of cotton. This shit lime green. I ain't never seen no shit like that. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he like on like some movie shit, he literally got like a whatever on his walkie-talkie, whatever the fuck. And it was just like something else was going on. He was like, y'all lucky tonight. You know what I mean? Like y'all lucky tonight. We got somewhere to be. But then I was just thinking like, one, I was just grateful it played out like that. But then two, I was like, bro, this is literally a piece of cotton.
Right.
This is the first day I ain't had this car for 8 hours. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Anyway, Conrad, tell me, how did this podcast come to be? How did you get into the picture?
Yeah. One day. It was cold. Me and Imani we usually just walk.
We love a cold day, good
you know,
story.
me and Imani used to live right next to each other. We were walking home from work, just chopping it up one day, or maybe we were out.
This is in the Bronx?
In Harlem.
Harlem, okay, cool.
I think we're walking home after getting some drinks. Somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we were getting some drinks and stuff. We were just chopping it up on the way home. And Money like told me that he had an idea for a podcast. He said he wanted to run it by me first and, you know, see where we think it could go. You know, he gave me the idea, the same thing he said to you. He gave me the pitch and I was with it from jump because, you know, I believed in everything Donnie Money was saying, right? Like we need to make this information more accessible to everybody, right? Because knowledge is power. And like the more we arm our people with this knowledge, you know, the better off they're going to be in the long run. The more they are going to avoid these treacherous situations with the police where, you know, they end up being shot and killed or they end up being convicted, you know, or arrested for something, right?
Yeah.
So I believed in it. I was like, yeah, I mean, that's a dope idea. Let's go for it. And Imani was like, okay, you know, I want you to be one of the co-hosts on the podcast. And, you know, I was like, I'm with it. You know, Imani's my brother and I believe in this stuff. So I was with it. When we expanded, for me, when we expanded just past the Know Your Rights platform to like just basic knowledge about the ways the legal system could affect your life.
Yeah.
I mean, that touched my heart even more because I'm someone who thinks, you know, the more information that we could pass on about things that people don't really hear, the more we could change society and what it looks like.
Absolutely.
Especially for people like us, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I know it's not a big conversation in a lot of our community, prison abolition, right? Like that still seems like a niche thing that like, you know, a lot of people think only people over here think about prison abolition, right? But like the more we talk about it, the more we're going to make it mainstream, the more we're going to put it over here, the more it's going to expand people's minds about it. And maybe it'll come to fruition. The more we can get people to understand what prison abolition actually is. So, you know, that's the aspect of the podcast that I love, that we can bring this information to people, bring these ideas that people may not have heard and kind of just spread that to the world and let's see what happens when it festers.
Now we're getting to the questions that I got for you guys.
What?
And I am not only, it's for content, but I'm very interested in hearing your answers to this. You know what I mean? It's brothers who really behind the wall, really making all of this shit happen, really learning the information, utilizing, leveraging the knowledge, all the good shit, man. Okay. So the first question I got for y'all: does the bail system exploit poor people? And the reason why I asked that It's because usually when somebody go to jail, right, and you considering, you know how much the bail is.
Yeah.
Most people, bro, don't have
Mm-mm.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Most people don't have $1,000 for any emergency, for any unexpected thing. It could be less, you know what I'm saying? It could be a hospital. It could be the dog got sick and I got to take the dog to the vet, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? So when I think about like just bail in general, like who the fuck got money for that shit? It almost immediately puts you in a state of crisis.
Throwing out $1,000 would be hard for me right now.
Bro, that would be hard for me right now.
Like,
bro,
it'd be tough.
Because I ain't got it for you.
Same.
I ain't got it
Gonna
for
set
you.
me
So
back months.
yeah, bro. So the fucking question is, do you think that the bail system exploits poor people?
I'm gonna go a step further.
Okay.
I don't think it exploits poor people. I think it preys on poor people, right? I think by design it's meant to prey on poor people, right? You know, when bail is set, bail is only to ensure somebody's return to court, right? That's the only purpose of bail, right? And so when a
Which
judge,
is crazy.
it's crazy. It's crazy. What you mean,
Dangle
like
freedom over you, nigga. You know what I'm
like
saying?
literally, it's
Like,
ransom.
Yeah.
It's like you taking me from my family. They
yeah.
didn't know I got taken. Now they know because I'm in court. They didn't know where the hell I was at. But you took me and you telling my family, yo, you want your partner back? Slide us some money and he'll come back.
Yeah,
right?
We're gonna let you rent your nigga.
That's a
essentially.
ransom, literally.
It's like you can have him for a little while,
Right.
but he gotta come back.
Literally, right? And the reason I say it preys on poor people is because, like you said, prosecutors are asking for and judges are setting these exorbitant amounts they know people can't afford. We are public defenders, which means the clients that we get are indigent, meaning they cannot afford an attorney, right?
Right. That's the whole thing.
And judges know that. They know they can't afford a private attorney, right? And so you are setting monetary bail on somebody that you've already deemed is too poor to even afford
That's
their own
crazy.
counsel.
Right.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
praying, and they know, right? We don't even need statistics. We know the types of people that are ensnared in the criminal
For
legal
sure.
system.
Come on.
It's poor Black and brown people.
Some very
people
intelligent
from the
people
hood.
in these spaces.
Right.
You
We
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Right.
they know what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
So that's why I say they're preying on poor people because
Yeah.
like police know who they're trying to arrest. Police know
Mhm.
who they're going after. They
Mhm.
arrest those people. Judges know who the police are trying to arrest.
Mhm.
Prosecutors know who the police are trying to arrest. Yet
Mhm.
they still set bail on these people, knowing that these people may not have the money to get out,
Mhm.
right? And one thing that was so important with the bail reforms that passed in 2020 is one thing judges are legally required to consider is whether people have the ability to afford bail, right? And Imani, like anytime I'm making a bail argument, I let the judge know like this is a poor family. They cannot afford
Off rip.
much bail at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And judges still set bail higher than what I proposed.
So how could it be anything less than praying?
How could it be? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you think?
I mean, I agree with what he said. I,
Yeah,
I
he
think
cooked. He
I
cooked
don't. I
up.
don't think there's any way to answer that question. But yes, no matter
Mhm.
who you are,
Mhm.
and I think the easiest way to answer that question is, if you're rich, you're not in on bail. The only people that are held in on bail are people who are poor. So the answer to that question has to be yes.
Mm.
I think just off jump.
You said
Also-
if you rich.
If you're if
You
if
can
you
afford
if
to
you're
pay.
wealthy,
Oh right, got you.
you're affording bail.
Yeah,
The only
100%
people,
got you.
the only people who are incarcerated due to bail are people who are poor.
Mhm.
So that the answer has to be yes to that question. Additionally, I wish anybody could just spend a day in criminal court and listening and watching these bail hearings
I actually
happen.
would love to do that for real.
Right,
Come-
and
come
I
to
wish
arena
you would
for it.
hear the numbers.
Mhm.
Like the numbers you would hear is $100,000 bail,
$300,000.
$300,000 bail. Ask
For
the,
people who need public
In the
defenders?
Bronx.
yes.
$300,000.
They're asking routinely for $300K, $100K, $200K for people who may be their first arrest. They may not have hurt nobody, but
Mm.
this is the amounts that people are asking for routinely. And it's like, what?
So we just gonna set it in such a way. It's like, no. When I said 100,000 bail,
Right.
I know that you. It's almost like a what they call it when it's a so and so question, like
A false dichotomy, false choice.
Nah, it's just fuck it. I can't.
Rhetorical?
Rhetorical question. It's
Yeah,
almost like a
yeah.
rhetorical
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
It's like, I know you can't afford it, nigga. It's just some shit
Literally.
that you stay your ass here.
Right.
Literally.
And I think what adds to how nefarious it is,
Yeah.
the majority of times where bail is being asked by prosecutors, it happens at the first court appearance when we're like, you've seen the judge for the very first time. What's crazy is that they're asking for all these high amounts of bail, right? But the judge is making this decision without seeing any evidence. So what happens is,
Word?
yes,
Yeah.
like nothing,
Word?
nothing.
Just the word of
all
mouth.
that happens is that the prosecution has allegations that they may got from the police, or they may got from somebody. That's it. They have not reviewed any body cam. They have not reviewed any video surveillance. They have not really spoken to any witnesses. All they have is this person was alleged and accused to have done this. And based off those allegations, they are allowed to ask for bail, and sometimes bail in this exuberant amount, which also is counterintuitive, because like we have this idea of presumption of innocence, which means that you are presumed innocent until guilty, but yet you can be held incarcerated in Rikers Island for
Based on what
years
you charged.
when you're innocent of a crime, but because you're poor and you can't afford to get out, you stuck there. That's what happened to Khalid Browder. He was in there for 3 years.
Yeah, bro.
Got released after 3 years. Case got dismissed, and he was so traumatized by what happened to him in
bro.
Rikers, he killed himself.
Where do you think that comes from, judges being at this place where they don't want to look over the evidence and stuff? Do you think that maybe when they...
I mean, there's no evidence for them to look over at this time.
I think
Oh, shit.
I think their fear is if they let somebody out who may have done some wrong, and they go and commit more wrong, then they can get bad publicity.
So-
I think that's their fear,
Yeah,
which I understand, but also it again runs afoul to the idea of you're presumed innocent.
right.
If this person really is presumed innocent, then you should not be thinking in those terms.
Because you don't even give the innocent person an opportunity or a chance. It's just
Right.
like, do you think that they tired? You know what I mean? Like sometimes when I go to the hospital, like last time I went to the emergency room, I don't have health insurance and shit like that. So obviously I was in there forever. You know what I mean? Like literally
Yeah.
waited 6 hours to see
Yeah.
somebody. And then when I finally seen somebody, they would just like, take 2 of these, call me in the morning. And it was just like, damn, why you treat me like that? But it's like they're
Yeah.
so tired though. It's just like I'm mentally burnt out. Do you feel like the judges is like that too? Maybe that's why they're not doing more?
I mean, like
I don't know, or they
they're
just like-
smart. I mean, like,
No, I think
know what they're doing.
I think most judges are former prosecutors or think in that mindset,
Oh, gotcha.
so they're already predispositioned
Oh,
to
yeah,
to
they
be there.
conditioned.
Right.
yeah,
If
Yeah.
someone were to walk in here right now, point at me and say Imani raped me,
Mhm.
and that's it, guarantee you that they're going to be asking for bail in the high amounts.
Mm.
I'm going to end up being arrested, and there's a strong chance that bail gets set and I'm sitting in based off of no evidence at
no
this
evidence.
time
Until your trial.
but
Yeah.
until my trial. But because of the allegation alone, I'm going to get arrested. There's no police officer who's not going to arrest me based on those allegations.
Yeah.
And because of the seriousness of the charges, the
Yeah.
DA is going to ask for bail in a high amount, and a judge is likely going to rule in their favor. And now I'm sitting in Rikers, innocent of a crime I have not done, and because I can't afford the money, I'm in Rikers now for the foreseeable future.
Wow. Let me ask y'all this. Do you think the concept of prison and mass incarceration is the only way to keep people safe?
I don't think he keeps people safe, right?
Okay.
How long have we been doing this prison dance,
Right.
right? And people still say they feel unsafe, right? So are prisons really keeping anyone safe? I mean, in my opinion, not really,
Yeah.
right? But no, prisons. The people who are in prison are not safe, right? Like
That's one.
clearly, right? We have, God, I'm blanking on the dude's name right now, but just what was it, like a few weeks ago, right?
Mhm.
We had corrections officers beat a prison inmate to death,
Yeah, what
right?
was his
On
name?
video.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm blanking on the name right now, but
On video.
on video, beat him to death.
How, and how he get away with that?
You mean the officers?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure they're getting away with it. It's under investigation, they say, right?
for
Like,
sure. Mhm.
but this is all on video, right? So that's the type of system a prison system is.
Yeah.
So one, the people inside aren't safe,
Yeah.
right? And we're talking about somebody who's going to get out eventually, right?
Mhm.
Unless you're doing life in prison, you're going to
Mhm.
get out eventually.
Yeah.
right? So like, let's say something like that happens to you and it comes your time to get out. Like what type of person are you going to be mentally at the time you're ready to get out?
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So like what happened to him, what happened to that person in there?
Robert Brooks.
Robert Brooks was his name.
Yeah,
What
rest
happened
in
to
peace,
Robert
brother
Brooks
Robert
in
Brooks,
there could have the potential of making him, an even more destabilized person when he gets out.
Absolutely.
And so, like, how is that keeping anyone safe, right?
Nah, you cooking.
And then,
you cooking.
all right, like most of the time when people go to prison, by the time they get out, they can't get a job, they can't get student loans, they can't get a home loan,
Oh, yeah.
right? Their credit is messed up. And so, what option do they have when they
To make
get
some
out
bread,
to,
yeah.
put themselves back on their feet?
Mhm.
Right? A lot of people are going to be ensnared by the fast life again, right? Because
Mhm.
like this is the quickest way for me to get money. This is the quickest way for me to put food on my table for my family, right? And then they're caught up again, right? And so like, is prison really making anyone safe? No, you know what I'm saying? You are just again taking people's family out of society and just throwing them behind a cage, right? And then there's a whole family behind the person that you took away, right? A lot of times it's the breadwinner for the family, the father, that gets put in prison. And so what's going on with the mother and the children, right? Like now the kid, as soon as he gets old enough, is going to be like, I want to help Ma Dukes put something on the table, right?
Of course.
And so if you live in the hood, right, like what are you going to turn to? You're going to turn to the dope boy in your neighborhood that looks like the hero to you because like he's feeding the neighborhood, feeding his family, right? And you're going to be caught up in the system because your dad was in prison. So it's like, is prison really keeping anyone safe? No, it's destabilizing our communities and making us more unsafe.
And I'll add to that on the police aspect. Think about your most safe communities. Like if we all went to Beverly Hills next month, I bet you we can walk many streets in Beverly Hills and not see one police officer.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
So I tell people the communities that have the most police presence are often the ones where you feel the least safe. The communities where you have the least police presence are the ones where you actually feel more safe. The more police presence does not make people feel safe. I'm actually more on edge if I walk somewhere and I see mad
very
police.
on edge.
Never made me feel safe.
You know
Very
what I'm
on
saying?
edge.
So I think an honest answer to that question is nah.
I went to Washington, D.C. for my first time, and I was like very uncomfortable with how many police was there. Obviously, the White House is there, so that makes sense. But I was just driving around one night, and I was like, bro, I literally have seen, like, no exaggeration, like 15 cops, bro, in like a 3-hour radius. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't get down like that,
Police
bro.
state, bro.
Yeah.
And we want to talk shit about China, right? Like same shit here.
Yeah, I feel like the reliance on policing and prisons is just lazy. I feel like it was
It's very
it was founded on really racist principle at a really racist time, and that no one has done any work to kind of like re-envision what safety can look like, and we've just gone with it over the years. And until there's like actually like a radical movement to change our ideas of safety, it's gonna be like this for a while.
Yeah, and it's not a thing of the past, right? Like the governor just gave her State of the State address, where she lays out what her vision for the next year for New York State is, right? This is just like one example of like how these people think, right? The governor thinks that e-bikes, like the bigger e-bikes that go really fast in the bike lanes are a danger, right? She thinks it's a danger because they're going too fast. Maybe they're running into people, yada, yada, yada. So her solution to that is, one, we're going to classify an e-bike as a moped, making it a legal obligation for people to get a license to drive an e-bike. So now, if that passes and you have an e-bike and you don't get a license and you didn't have a license to have a moped, you can get arrested for it, right? It's a crime now to just have an e-bike and drive it without a license, right?
Yeah.
And so that means in the Bronx, at least, and I see on body-worn camera all the time, cops just jumping out and tackling kids off of mopeds, right? And they're going to say they could do it because like they had an inkling that this kid didn't have a license to be driving the e-bike.
Yeah.
Right? That's one response. The other is now, like, if you are deemed to be speeding in the bike lane, the cops can stop you or give you a ticket. How are they gonna make that determination? Right? Like it's gonna be arbitrary. It's gonna be a police officer seeing a black and brown person and saying, I want to stop them because I feel like they're speeding.
First of all, most of the people on these mopeds, they delivering food.
They deliver food. They're Uber Eats drivers.
Like I don't see too many niggas who just like stylistically riding one of them things. You know what I mean?
The thing is, that's what I think it was made for. I think she was being really nefarious because I think there are rich people that were complaining about Uber Eats drivers speeding on their bikes, right? And so this law was a response to that.
I'm like, you want your food warm or what? Like, what you want?
Very carceral response, bro. Like, why is our policy? Oh, let's just throw more cops at it. Let's just throw more crimes at it.
Yeah.
But that's how we legislate right now. That's the issue.
Yeah. In your opinion, can social media have the power to influence justice?
Yeah.
Simply put.
Simply put,
we have a podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the easiest way to think about this is like if somebody gets arrested and they go to trial, what happens is we got to pick a jury. And the issue in an ideal world, you have a jury of people who have not seen anything on social media about a case, and you are only supposed to evaluate a case off the evidence presented to you during the trial.
During the trial.
Right. But the issue is that if that happens and you've seen all these tabloids, you've seen all this press about it, then we're human. So there's no way for us to like kind of take out of our mind what we saw on social media and only factor with what we see in trial. So yes, I think if we have seen certain coverage of something on the media and it's painting something in a certain light, most humans are gonna take that into their mind when they're on a jury and when they're evaluating
whether
a case.
they know it or not.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just human nature.
Yeah.
And so like I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
So like in the case of the Luigi situation,
Right.
Right. Like, what are the chances of social media influencing the jury for
I think a
something
lot.
like that?
I think by now you have people who already have like strong opinions about him and about the case.
Yeah.
Either, he was doing good work
He's
for what
a
he
hero.
did, he's a hero, or he's not, and he took a life and a life was taken no matter what. But by now people already have strong opinions. And the issue and the concern is having those strong opinions on a jury can sway the way they are interpreting the evidence that's being presented before them.
Yeah. My next question is...
Wait, and just to add to that.
Please.
I feel like our concern as defense lawyers is whether or not somebody can presume somebody innocent. So if social media has already made you believe this person's guilty, I don't want you on my jury. And I feel like that's one of the major concerns is like whether or not you have the ability to really presume somebody innocent if you've seen all this stuff on social media already.
Is there any way to guarantee that somebody is maybe minimally affected by social media if you're going to have them in your jury? Is there like what can you even really do?
Guarantee, I would say no. I mean, there's a process of picking a jury where we get to ask them questions, and any smart lawyer would ask questions about, have you seen coverage about this? Has it affected you? What are your opinions? The thing is, people can lie, or people can downgrade their opinions. People can underestimate exactly how they were affected by it, and if they do that, we really can't tell unless we do our best job at fleshing it out. And in reality, we may only have 15 30 minutes, depending on how serious the case is, to really talk to a pool of 60 people to kind of get an idea of how they feel, how social media has impacted them.
How is a jury even prepped for a case? Like they're picked at random, I'm assuming?
Pretty much.
And then you get them all in one room, and then you be like, okay, so this what happened. This nigga died, this nigga killed him.
I mean, you don't really, when you're doing jury selection.
Break it down from like the big jury pool and how this.
So, you'll get the letter for jury duty, right? They'll tell you to show up to the courthouse on the X day, right? And then you show up to court. From what I understand, you go into a big room. They do like an orientation for you for like the overall process of being a juror. And then if a trial is happening, they'll pick, I think, 60 people in a pool. They'll pick 60 people, bring you to a courtroom, and then they put you, as many people as they can, into like the seats, the jury box, and then they'll put the overflows in the actual courtroom, right? And the judge first does their own questionnaire, right? So the judge will tell you generally what the case is about and then start asking you some questions, right? And you weed out a lot of people just during the judge's questionnaire, right? Because they're pretty fundamental questions like, do you live here, right? Like, have you been a victim of this type of crime in the past? Stuff like that, right? The judge will ask those kinds of questions. Or do you know anybody in this case? That'll weed a lot of people out. And then like the judge will ask if you are, are you a comfortable English speaker, right? And in the Bronx, we have so many Spanish speakers that is not the case. So, they are then, removed because they're not able to really participate if they can't understand what's going on. And so you'll get rid of a lot of people that way, right? And then it comes time for attorney questioning, right? So then each, like the defense attorney and the prosecutor, I mean, in most of the cases I've had, it's about 15 minutes. Some judges will give you 15 to 20 minutes aside to ask the jurors questions, right? And a good defense attorney is going to ask questions of their jurors. I mean, like there are different schools of thought, right? Like do I want to deselect? Meaning like, do I want to try and figure out the people that I know are going to be bad for my case and get them off right off the bat? Or do I want to educate my jury? Like, do I want to try and impart some of the ideas that I think the jury should be thinking about throughout this case to my jurors, right? And so, you think about those two schools of thoughts and you craft your questions that way, right? And then at the end of it, when both sides are done, the judge will give you an opportunity to make a challenge, right? So you either get 4 cause challenges and you get peremptory.
You get really into the weeds of it.
Yeah, because like it really, I think it all matters, right?
Okay.
And so like the 4 cause challenges are just like basically this person can't be a fair juror because of something they said to me. They said something wild, Judge.
Yeah.
They said something wild. Listen to what they said, Judge, and you make the argument, right? And the judge will determine whether that person's stricken for cause. Peremptory strike is, I just don't fuck with this nigga and I want him off my jury. So judge, strike him. You only get a set number of those, right? You can't do that for forever. And prosecutors are not supposed to use those just based on somebody's gender or race, but they do it all the fucking time. They don't want young niggas on their jury. So they strike young niggas all the fucking time. All the time. It just happens. Every single case.
Why is that though? Because
because they think young black men are more likely to be opposed to the system, opposed to police work,
and they don't
opposed
want
to
that.
prosecutors.
Right.
They don't
freedom
want
of thought, essentially.
They don't want freedom of thought.
It's like we don't want no free thinking niggas.
Yeah, and then so on a felony, once you get 12 jurors and some alternates, like once you go through that process a couple times, you get 12 people seated. That's your jury. So that's like the whole process.
Yeah. If I can go on a quick tangent.
Yeah, and thank you for breaking it down like that too. Yeah.
As a quick tangent. So like the requirement for every juror, they have to promise they can be fair and impartial. That's it. And our job is to figure out those who can't. What really makes me mad is there are many jurors who get up there and they're like, I don't trust the system. I don't fuck with police. I don't fuck with prisons. So I can't be fair and impartial. Like they present themselves to be an abolitionist.
Don't do that if that's how you think.
And then they say,
don't do that.
No.
Right. And that's where I'm going to now. I feel like it's really disingenuous to the abolition process to identify as an abolitionist, but then not be on a jury. Because if you believe that prisons are not fair and that police are wrong, then you should be on the jury and you should acquit.
Yeah.
Or you should be on a jury and you should hold out and make sure you know what, I'm voting not guilty no matter what. I think as an abolitionist, you are required, you are called to be on juries and stand on principle, rather than saying, nah, I'm not gonna be part of this at all.
Because I'm looking at it the other way. I'm like, I want to go home. You know what I'm saying?
And that's fine. And my thing is, if you just don't got the time for this, then say that. But don't stand on the excuses. I don't.
Use that power to your benefit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you really about it.
That's one of the powers we actually have.
Yeah.
Like, we should use it.
That's real, bro.
Like if I was on the jury, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna do what I can to get onto the jury. And when we get to deliberations, I'm like, yo, I'm telling you right now.
I'm telling you right now,
I'm voting not guilty. Nothing you can do to convince my mind I'm not. You can try, but I'm voting not guilty no matter what. And that's what it is. I'm gonna sit there.
The R's crossed. Wow.
Now I can try to convince y'all if y'all want to hear me out.
Yeah,
but no matter what, I'm voting not guilty. It is what it is.
You just sitting there chilling. I'm just waiting on y'all. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm gonna say.
Right.
We can all go home right now.
Right. Get the pressure from the inside. That's crazy. Yo, my next question is, how often do you think false convictions based on racial bias happen to innocent people?
I can't. I'm sorry, I can't give you like a certain number or percentage.
Nah, I mean, yeah, of course.
But like, for example, a lot of the ways somebody will get arrested, especially like for stranger crimes, is because somebody gave a description of the perpetrator. And the description is usually black man, 5'6" to 5'8", wearing black t-shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
so
all of that is just a great chance of finding.
The police just riding around. As soon as they see a nigga that's 5'6" and 5'8" black, that nigga right there. That's
right there.
They don't need nothing else.
I just came from my grandma's house.
Don't need nothing else, right? As long as it's a slant match of the description, the police could make that arrest, right? And now you jammed up. You didn't do shit. You just look like you just happen to be the same color as some nigga that may have committed a crime. And now you jammed up, right?
Y'all had a pod. What was the guy that you had on the pod? He was
We've had two. We had one, Jeffrey.
Okay.
White guy. He was falsely convicted. And we had a black guy who was also falsely convicted. Bruce Bryan. He ended up doing 29 years for murder. 29 for murder he did not commit.
I did that episode. I remember that.
Yeah.
Powerful story.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm happy that we kind of like changed the direction of the pod, because people need to hear that story, bro. People need to hear how you can be innocent and do 29 years and how that affects someone's life.
And it happens often.
Right.
Happens often.
And so they give him a couple mil and then
exactly. I mean, I think he's still in the process of suing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's gotten there yet.
And he's like, I mean, granted, his whole life was spent in prison, but he's young enough to actually like utilize that, right? Think about the people who like did 40, 50 years before they were exonerated.
Right.
The hell's that money gonna do for them?
Yeah.
Their whole life was taken away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
They missed their birthdays. Probably. I think his pops passed away when he was incarcerated.
No real connection to
No
family.
connection to family.
Like,
It's a different world than when you went
it's like
in.
you my cousin, but I don't know you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You a different person.
And I don't want to jump the gun to get really to abolition, but I don't know why the fact of people being falsely convicted isn't enough for somebody to be like, yeah, the system
Yeah,
this
for
system does
sure.
not work.
one person.
Absolutely.
So we shouldn't have it. We should re-envision something else.
Yeah.
Listen, one
Yeah.
person. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mean to be like this, like
Nah, be
flip
like
about
that.
this, but
Be like
one
that,
person
bro.
gets pushed on the subway, right? And we up in arms, like we
Right.
got to change everything right now. Everybody's acting differently. They standing against the wall now. They standing against the post.
Of course,
One person wrongfully convicted, people don't even blink an eye.
bro.
Why? Why is that the case?
Yeah.
Because it's out of sight, out of mind, bro.
Literally,
that's the
yeah.
problem. You know what I mean? Like that shit feels like a rock and a skip away versus like the bus is like in the subway. It's like, oh, we deal with this every day.
Every day.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just really
But
just.
there are
speaks-
niggas who deal with the system every day.
every day.
Every
Yeah.
day.
You know?
It really just speaks to just like the sickness of society, bro, for
Mhm.
real. And we really need more people with loud enough voices. That's why y'all pod is so important, but especially people that are like really popular, like really got motion, like million followers here, there,
Mhm.
like everybody listen to what they say.
Mhm.
We need people to sprinkle these little isms so people can just, you know what I mean? It's like they say in marketing, like they got to show you a product like 7 times before it might make a connection, it might convert to a sale. But it's like that with information too. It's like
Mhm.
this information needs to be sprinkled so people can slowly start to realize, like, hey, wake up,
Facts.
wake up. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we mad about the train. A man was down for 29 years. You know what I mean? 20, you can't even fathom. The nuance, bro, the deep rooted trauma in his
The
brain,
shit he done seen. bro.
conditioning, anxiety, depression, PTSD. Like you
Right.
couldn't fathom that, bro.
Right.
It's
And,
nuts.
someone like him, he has the courage to go back to the jails,
Yeah.
back to the prisons,
Yeah.
and advocate on behalf of people,
Yeah.
educate them. It's
And he's
crazy.
scared when he goes back to do it.
Yeah.
Like his mindset is, am I leaving?
Yeah,
Right?
how could it not be, bro? Because they can do in your
Devastating.
mind. They like y'all can do whatever y'all want. Think about it. It's like, yo, I'm walking back in here. I'm trying to save people, but somehow, some way, if they really wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
they could just be like, well, this is why we got to keep it.
Devastating.
What? This is why I got to keep. They could do that.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
why. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I feel like something we didn't talk about on that podcast episode that like I can imagine people who are exonerated feel is like kind of like a survivor's remorse, you know, like
Mm,
damn, these people are still stuck in there and I'm out.
mm.
You know, like I'm sure that could fuck somebody up too when they go back and see it.
Yeah,
So it's like there's a lot of intangibles that we don't think about when we send somebody to prison.
bro. That's why I like no funny shit. Shout out to white people. I just started liking white people this year. Last year, to be exact. For real, you know what I mean? One, because I just needed to become more cultured and just understand, you know what I mean? I was coming from this perspective of, I always tell people I've lived a pretty inclusive Black life. Like, obviously, you know, white people are all around you, multiple races of people are all around you. But I've always felt comfortable being with people that look like me because I just felt like, you know, we just talked about slavery and shit. So I just have a certain perception in my mind. And I'm not even joking, but like literally last year, I started befriending white people for the first time. And I started realizing that like there are some great, obviously I always knew that, but I didn't really have an opportunity to know from personal
Yeah.
experience. And I met some really cool white people. It's like, yo, you tight. A lot of them born in New York City. You know what I mean? White people born in New York City, they're different, bro.
Different.
Yeah.
They're
Different.
different. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and I tell them, like, literally, there's this. I don't want to say too much about it, but there's a production company that works here, and they fill the studio out with a lot of clients. And out of all the, let's say I got 50 clients of theirs that I work with. Out of 50 of them, the 3 that I like the most are born in New York City. You know what I mean? And it just speaks to like the power of conditioning because New Yorkers are exposed to many cultures.
So much, bro.
You know what I mean? So many cultures. And because of that, they just kind of like, this is one kid, he like 18. I think he's 19, bro.
Yeah.
He the coolest white boy I ever met in my life. He's just so laid back, bro. And it's because he's not, nothing is a surprise to him. He
Right.
just, it's just life. It is what it is.
Right.
You know what I
If
mean?
you go into the Midwest or something like that,
Oh yeah.
there'll be people who've never seen a black person in their
Yo,
life.
for
still,
real.
to this day. You know
For
what I'm saying?
real.
And like, what exposure have they gotten? None.
For real.
Right? And that's why they are the way they are.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
but the reason why I brought up white people though is because sometimes I just wonder, like, man, like, I don't think people born in New York City worried about this, but sometimes, like, especially like in Texas or something,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, man, it's like almost like sometimes you think like, man, you can never really imagine just the anxiousness and PTSD that just come with just being black, because it's like it's like being a fucking what's them pigs, like, I don't know, it's like being some type of animal and you coming out from where you was hiding. It's like, okay, like, I need to step out, get some food.
Yeah.
You don't even know it's a motherfucking lion right up
there.
top about to get your ass. You know what I mean? That's really how I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, literally, as soon as you driving, a cop could be coming on the opposite side, and then you just know him. He could bust a bitch real quick if he wanted to. And sometimes it happens. You know what I mean? So it's just this level of just paranoia. Like, even me, like, this, since I've been living in New York, I've been coming face to face with what my anxiousness looks like. And sometimes you think, like, my life has not been nearly as traumatic as a lot of other my friends has been.
Yeah.
But then you completely discount how irregular it is for you to even live your life, even though it's not as traumatic as some of the other people's. It's like, it's still kind of traumatic, bro.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't trying to give no random slugs to white people, but that was the full context of it. The next question I want to ask you guys is, you guys did an episode a while ago, and I remember you, Amani, saying that you don't think anybody should go to jail, regardless of what they did.
Uh-huh.
Can you help me understand a little bit why you feel that way?
Yeah. So I think when I said that, I am referring to jails and prisons as they are right now.
Got you.
I don't think anyone should be subjected to those jails and prisons.
Man, stand on business.
Stay on business.
No, I am.
Okay.
I am. So what I'm saying is, like, I believe in the idea of some people may need to be isolated or separated.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's a synonym for jail or prison.
I was about to say, so when you say isolated, you don't necessarily mean jail.
I don't. I mean, I think there's a select few people who are threat to society, who may need to be separated. But I don't think that should look like an 8x8 cell, malnutrition, messed up guards. I don't think it has to be that punitive.
So if you shoot somebody, what do you think is what's appropriate for that person? How should society deal with that?
I think that there's a lot of questions. Why did he shoot this person?
Context, right?
Yeah, what led him to here?
Mm-hmm.
What was his upbringing? What influence did he have?
Mm-hmm.
What trauma does he have? Why was he here?
Mm-hmm.
I think those questions should then help us funnel how we treat that person. And the reason why I feel this way is a number of reasons. I think my number one guiding post is, what is humane?
Mm-hmm.
What is humane? What is a humane way to respond to someone who's done wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think torture is ever humane. And I view jail and prison as torture. And I think that's what I want to get people to think.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people who have these opinions about jails and prisons, they never stepped foot in one, and don't know anybody who can articulate exactly how bad and how terrible jails and prisons are.
Yeah, I agree.
So the reason why I feel this way is because I really believe that jails and prisons are akin to torture, and nobody should be subjected to them.
Well, what about, I just want to give you some random scenarios and I just want to hear your opinion about it. But like, what if there's a scenario where some people are having war, they are warring with each other essentially, and upon one person trying to assassinate somebody else, they ended up shooting some innocent people or something like that. Like, do you think that person, like, what I'm trying to figure out, like, what are the conditions where you could be like, oh, okay, like, maybe we need to put that person away? Or even grape, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, what are the scenarios?
I mean,
Like, yeah, I mean, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, in that scenario, right? Like, maybe Imani would be more comfortable with that person being separated from society,
Mhm.
right? But like, when we say put away, I think normally we think of put away as just like throwing somebody behind a cage and locking the door and throwing away the key,
Mhm.
right? Whereas, like, I think what we're envisioning is some sort of separation from society, right? One that doesn't have to look like a cage.
Mhm.
One that looks like maybe community supervision, right?
Mhm.
Included in that is, like, classes for this individual to understand why he did harm society, right?
Right, some
Maybe
treatment.
have the
Anybody who's
family-
shooting somebody and killing an innocent person got something wrong in his mental.
Mhm.
And I think
But
I
think in that scenario, he didn't try to kill an innocent person. He was trying to kill somebody else.
In the scenario, yeah.
And he accidentally hit an innocent person, right? And so, like, you got to get that person to understand what you're doing is reckless, bro. Like, not I understand what you were doing. Like, I know you wanted to kill that other person.
Yeah, right.
But, like, the way that you went about this, like, you harmed this entire community.
Nas got a line, ironically, I got a Nas cut, but he was like, take heed, never bust up at the crowd, catch him solo, make the right man bleed, right? We live in New York where the drill music scene is like crossed over from entertainment to very real life. I actually heard a story. A social worker was telling me this lady was working very closely with this young boy, and she just wanted to walk him home. She grew fond of him, you know what I mean? And then upon walking him home, she got caught in the middle of some shit and she got shot, bro. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's real, bro.
Yeah, I mean, to share a personal story, my cousin, I'm from Miami originally, Miami Gardens. They call it Miami Gardens. It was Carroll City. They gave it a name to make it sound nice.
Of course, they always do that.
It's not
They always clean shit up.
My little cousin, I don't remember how old I was, like 9 or 10, got shot in the neck. Drive-by shooting, shot in the neck, and she died. She was probably like 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? And like, I wasn't there when it happened. I got told after the fact. My other cousin was there and held her while she was dying.
Damn.
And you know, I think a lot of people would be like, you know, find those people and
of course
lock them away.
Yeah.
But like me personally, I just want them to understand what they did, like what they took away from our family. You took this little girl away from us, like I'm sure you were shooting at your ops, I'm sure, but like there are little kids around, like
innocent bystander.
You can't move like that, bro. Like you hurting people, like and get them to not like. The goal is to like get them to not behave that way, right? Like they're not gonna learn anything. You just throw them in a cage, like they just like, all right, fuck, I'm doing the time for what I did. It's like, no, you gotta understand like how you hurt an individual and like why you should change from that. You know
do you think that like, because it sounds like where both of y'all is coming from is like violence begets more violence. Do you feel like, do you think the way to really stop, because you know, obviously there are literally like gang members, like you think about the Chicago drill scene, like these niggas be keeping score on songs and shit, right? Do you think that maybe one of the ways to stop the generation of like marathon killing is to like stop getting even in a way, even from like the law's perspective? Is like, we're gonna throw the book at you, solitary confinement. It's like, no, we're gonna embrace you with some love, some shit you don't know nothing about.
100%.
I'm glad you said that, right? Because like there is a parallel between that, right? Between two gangs that are warring each other. There's a parallel. Like there's one side just trying to harm the other, then trying to up the score on them and trying to do a greater harm. Same thing we're doing in this criminal system, right? Like we're trying to harm this person worse than this person might have harmed somebody in the community. Right. And like, what's getting solved that way? Right? Like nothing's getting solved at all.
So I want to clarify. Like, I don't believe in a lawless society. I'm not saying that no one should be held accountable. What I'm saying is that accountability should include humanity in it and actual response to the things that led to this person to committing this crime.
And I'll go a step further. I don't believe in a lawless society, but I believe in a society where laws shouldn't have to exist, right? I believe in a society where we all just have an understanding of what it's like to be in community with each other and have an understanding what it's like to help each other grow as humans and be who we need to be. And like, I feel like there doesn't have to be some overlord over us saying, you can only do this, you can only do that, do this, do that, right? Like, and I think the only way we get there is by healing our community.
Yeah, I can keep going on this, bro. And I just will say that America does not have no moral authority to be laying no punishment on people. This country has committed harm on killing and killing one after the other.
Still doing it.
I don't think that this government or really anybody has the moral authority over somebody else to make decisions that really affect life or death of somebody. Even if that person has killed someone, the response is not, okay, we're gonna kill you back. You don't have that moral authority. Nobody does. No, you ain't God. Government ain't God. I'm not God.
These laws are written by powerful white men who own slaves and do not give a fuck about black people, don't know where we came from, don't know what we've been through, but they just writing these laws that dictate our lives, bro. Like, and then we're getting locked up because of these laws that they wrote with no thinking behind it, bro. It's crazy.
That leads perfectly into my next question, which is, when is it okay to give the death penalty?
Never. not from the state. I believe in street justice, to be honest. I do believe in street justice, right? Like, you know, sometimes people need to get shit back in blood. You know? I believe it. I believe it sometimes. There's certain people that just, George Zimmerman gotta go. George Zimmerman gotta go. I'm not advocating for anyone to go kill him.
Me neither, but
I will sleep at night knowing that he's gone.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
but
real.
I don't believe, like you would say, I don't believe that the system that we have in America, I don't believe that they should be able to dictate who lives or dies. Specifically because of a lot of the problems that we have been talking about, right?
Yes.
Like, we know that there's a likelihood that somebody could be wrongfully convicted, right? Especially in homicide cases where a lot of those cases depend on wacky ass DNA, right? That have routinely been overturned because of advancements in science, right? And then these people are set to die based on this wacky ass evidence, bro. And then the way that we kill them, the most inhumane thing ever, right? First of all, gas chambers still exist, right? Gas chambers are legal in certain states to use to kill people. Firing squad is legal in certain states. Hanging is legal in certain states. Knowing the history behind hanging, it's still legal, right? The most common one we see is lethal injection, right? They inject you with something that paralyzes your body, right? And then they inject you with a drug that kills you, right? And, you know, I think the common accepted knowledge is that shit burns you as it's going into your body. But you can't move. You can't do or say anything but yell, right? There's a reason why we paralyze them first, because we don't want to fucking look at that shit, right? It's inhumane how we kill people. And we are killing poor black and brown people for the most part based on bullshit, trumped up charges, right? And so I don't believe that we should be using the death penalty to kill anyone.
And even on its most basic level, it just doesn't make sense. Like, we're gonna tell someone that killing is wrong,
but we gonna kill
by killing them.
Yeah.
If killing's wrong, then killing's wrong.
You literally justifying it, because it's like, if you, like you said, if you want to say that murder is off the table,
right?
But then for you, the context is this. Well, if the context is the freedom for me to do it,
right?
You know what I mean? It's like, you have your contexts, then clearly I can have mine,
right?
And I guess, like, the main argument for the death penalty is deterrence, right? They say, all right, well, if we kill enough people are gonna think it's so scary to kill people because they're gonna get killed themselves.
Is that the point?
Yeah, deterrence, right? To stop
to make
people.
an example.
Yeah, but has it stopped? No. People still kill people, right? Because we haven't addressed the root problems. We haven't addressed why people actually would go out their way to go kill another human being.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you stop people from killing each other. Not by saying, we're going to make an example out of this person. Right? Because people make flash decisions sometimes, right? Nobody's sitting there thinking, goddamn, I'm about to get the death penalty. No, somebody snapped and made a snap judgment that ended the life of somebody else, for the most part.
And they have to watch that, don't they?
Some people watch.
Some people have to watch it to what? Like, just see it through. It's like, make sure this nigga really dead.
Yeah. There are people that watch, but the judge is not mandated to watch it. I don't think the prosecutor is mandated to watch it.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes
they should be required to.
It should be.
Oh, absolutely.
They should be.
Absolutely.
Every person that a judge sends to death, they should be required to go watch
absolutely.
That. Yeah. I think the juries should too.
It should be a literal requirement of the job. Like, if you have the
even us. Yeah. I think any actor in the criminal legal system that has the power of where someone goes should have some experience in where that person is going.
Because it would change you.
The worst part about this, bro, is it's not like niggas are being killed the next day after being found guilty. They're being killed decades after their conviction. 30 years, 40 years.
Like, come on.
After appeals.
Yeah.
In 30 years, somebody's a completely different person,
bro.
And we don't stop to think about that. We
probably
still kill
way
them.
Better too.
Way better.
Way more knowledge. Probably way more equipped to make society actually better if they got a chance to get out there.
And we still kill them.
Yeah.
Because 30 years ago, we said that you get the death penalty.
Yeah.
No thoughts about it.
That was another planet ago, brother. It was that was the 90s. That was the 80s, gang. You know what I'm saying? It's 2000 something. Like.
Shit crazy, bro.
No, that's nuts, bro. Damn. Do you think it should be illegal to own shares in private prisons? Because first of all, I just found out that people can actually own shares in private prisons. I'm trying to learn about stocks and shit like that. So to me, it's just like, wait a minute, like
It's crazy.
I just make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah.
I can own equity. Equity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can own a piece of the establishment that is probably the closest thing on above sea level is living hell.
Shit's crazy.
Probably the closest thing above sea level is like, oh, this is like some of the most demonic things probably go on depending on where we talking about. I can
Yeah.
own equity in that. It's like, what is even the value of a dollar at that point? You know what I
Right.
mean? When it's like
That's crazy.
moving
man.
towards like the most egregious, unfathomable, I gotta use the word demonic.
It's
Yeah.
demonic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's demonic.
Do you think that should be illegal?
I don't know if illegal is the word.
Yeah.
Because
get
like
it.
I'm
Right.
hesitant to advocate for more things that criminalize people,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
but I
I
do
don't think it should be an option. Like, it just shouldn't be a type of stock
Exactly.
that you could buy.
Exactly.
It just
For
should
real.
not
For
exist on the stock market.
right. And I feel like if you do own stock in private prisons, I think that should be public, and we should be publicly shamed for it.
You should be shamed. Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I think
Let us know
Yeah, let us know.
what you cooking. Like what
How-
you cook, what you working with. You know what I mean? It's like, oh word, you one of them.
How the hell does that stock rise? What makes that stock rise?
What makes that stock rise?
What makes that stock? That's crazy.
But
Like,
yeah,
yo, because if
No,
you
that's
own
actually-
stock, you
that's
want it to
sick.
rise.
Just to
What's
really
going-
think about that, that's actually sick.
Yeah.
and one thing I want to take a moment to talk about. I feel like people think about private prisons as only the prisons that get money for inmates.
Mm-hmm.
However, privatization is much more than just prisons that are making money off people who are incarcerated.
Mhm.
Privatization comes from like public prisons that are making money off the goods that are being made from prisons.
Talk about
From
it.
prisons that are not private.
They
Like
have-
that's still privatization. They're still making money off
Yo.
people who are being incarcerated.
They have
Mhm.
niggas picking cotton at Angola prison in
It's
Louisiana.
nuts, bro. That's
and they
crazy.
make money off of
Right.
that.
That's
And
crazy.
that's
Come on,
privatization.
bro.
People only think about it in terms of like prisons that make money off certain number of inmates, but no, it's happening in many places. That's not just that way.
Crazy.
People
Yeah,
are
bro.
incentivized to continue to incarcerate us. It's wild, bro.
Yeah, I'm Conrad. Like when you say this shouldn't even be an option, I agree, bro. I mean, there's so many ways to get rich in America. I just think that it's like when we think about ethics, right? Like
Yeah.
ethics is a word. Being ethical is a
Right,
word. You know
right.
what I mean? Something in the English language. That's not ethical, bro.
It's not.
You know what I mean? And of all the ways you can flip a dollar out this motherfucking spinning rock, like why would you do that? But then I
Capitalism,
guess
man. That's the
It's
issue.
Literally.
what is?
Capitalism. That's the problem.
Oh,
like
man.
I think the root behind most wrongs particularly in America is capitalism. It's the root, I think, behind racism. It's the root behind so many issues. Is this idea of capitalism.
What's the answer to capitalism in your opinion?
In my opinion,
Yeah.
Socialism.
I'm a socialist. So
Okay, talk to me.
So socialism basically, in its most basic form, is that the workers own the means of production,
Mhm.
right? So I usually use a factory as a basic example, right? At a factory, normally the workers are like, creating things, putting things together, and that is making money for, their boss, the higher up. In socialism, the workers are making money for themselves and their
Mhm.
community, right? And so, at a factory plant in a socialistic world, each worker would have an equal share in the company, right? And each worker would have the right to make decisions for the company in a democratic way,
I love that.
right?
That sounds great.
And the profits, the excess, not even
Mhm.
profits, the excess money that's made that is beyond people's subsistence, like their needs,
Mhm.
could be, there's different ways to do socialism, but could be put in a community pot. And then
Mhm.
people draw from it when they need it,
Mm.
right? That's socialism, right? Like your basic needs are met already, and you can go and create what you want for the world, after that fact, right?
Mhm.
And I think people think in socialism you have to be poor. You don't have to be poor. You can
Mhm.
make money for yourself in socialism, but like you're not hoarding wealth.
Yeah, you don't have more
Right.
than you need. You're not Jeff Bezos.
You're not
essentially.
Jeff Bezos. You're not gonna hoard wealth, bro.
Yeah.
Like because then you're you are necessarily taking from the community.
Yeah,
Right.
and I just wonder what's the point of having I don't even know if I'm necessarily as mad at capitalism, or maybe I am, as when I think about a nigga having $1 billion, and then that's literally, you can just take a very small piece of that and just make sure niggas don't ever go hungry again. You know what I mean? It's just like,
With
I'm
one billionaire.
yeah, like I don't know if I'm not necessarily mad at you having millions, but I'm just like, but I just would love to know that we could take a little piece of your millions, which really wouldn't hurt you, you know what I mean?
Right.
And just make sure no kid ever goes without anything. No, like the shit that grind my gears is like seeing elderly people walking. And in New York, I can't stand it, bro. It's the craziest shit in the world to see elderly people like moseying down the steepest fucking stairs. You know what I mean? Like I done helped so many women, so many men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there should be money. Like I remember living in Dallas, driving around, and majority of people say no, but I would see like ladies walk pushing a stroller or whatever like that. I see her for a couple of days and like, I know where you're going. You about to go all the way. Like, would you like a ride? You know what I mean? And one time it was like dead ass late, and the lady was like, I'm so tired, I'll take a fucking ride. Like, I hope you don't kill me. You know what I mean? But it's like there should be some type of Uber service or something that just pick motherfuckers up for free. Where you trying to go? It's not your car, but I could take you somewhere.
Right.
Bro, I just learned the other day, you know, going to law school, I have some friends that went into law firms. And the year that we went in, they were like making $500,000 now by the time they're out a year. I just learned for the first time that there's something called a night nurse when you have a baby. And what the night nurse does is it comes and takes care of the baby at night, which is like usually the time like the baby might wake up and like wake their parents up because they're crying and they're hungry. And like, you know, babies just have a different sleep schedule than parents. Their company pays for night nurses to come and take care of the baby. Do you know how helpful that'll be for the average working parent?
Life changing.
You know?
Life
like,
changing.
how is that not available to everybody? How come people's healthcare can't pay for that? That's an essential service.
Right. Don't even talk about healthcare. Don't even start that. Don't even start that. Because, bro, last time I went to the doctor, again, like I had anxiety. Barely, I think one time they didn't even check blood. One time they didn't even check blood, bro. Bill was $1,500, bro. And I'm like, bro, who the fuck you think you talking to? Like, bro, I literally came here with no health insurance. You see what it is. You know what I mean? You gonna charge me $1,500?
That's nuts.
Damn.
Bro. I tore my ACL and I knew my ACL was torn because I just had a feeling about it.
Shit was wrong.
Yeah.
And I knew what I needed was an MRI. But nowhere allowed me just to go get an MRI. I had to go to my primary care physician, get a referral to get an X-ray, then get a referral to get an MRI. And it's like, why is the system like
can I get some help or what?
Right.
You show brother the love. You know, I pay my taxes.
Like, why can't you just take an X-ray and
Bro,
ask her for an
bro,
X-ray?
I know what I need.
It's disgusting, bro. Yo, my next question is, can you guys tell me, we're coming to an end right now, but can you guys tell me about a moment in your career where you realize how important it is to never give up?
You gotta go first. Come still.
You gotta go first.
Ooh, man, they are just so like.
I'm sure it's like.
I feel like that's our job, bro. To be
yeah,
honest.
I know. It's really not fair to ask that. It's like, you want me to synthesize all these years? How long you been doing this?
We're in our 7th year.
That's a lot of years, bro. That's a lot of cases.
And judges tell us no on the regular. You know what I'm
you
saying?
get more no's than yeses?
Yeah, like way more.
How do you keep the hope in still doing this, knowing that?
I mean, I think the answer most people will give you is you have to like redefine what a win is for you, right? Like, I think everybody expects like coming into this work that a win is just like, oh, your client's found not guilty. Right? Like, that's not necessarily, and most often not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for you, right?
Damn.
So like, you got to redefine what a win is in your situation. For me,
you be trying to rationalize that shit to people. What you just said.
You have to.
Imagine being like, "Hey, bro, like
you're gonna get told. You're gonna get told.
Yo,
like,
well,
wrong.
One of the most questions, I'm sure we both get this question a lot by people who are not lawyers. They ask you this question. They say, "How many cases have you won?" And it's like, how do you? I don't know how to answer that.
So you setting me up for failure already.
What's a win mean to you,
yeah,
bro?
I don't know how to answer that question because like I've only done 4 trials. Like not all of my, I've represented over 1,000 people. Only 4 of my cases have gone to trial.
I mean, I just had a client who was charged with attempted murder. I ended up getting him. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a win, bro. Attempted murder top is 25 years.
To me, a win is anytime my client has avoided a criminal record and ain't gone to jail. that's
It's
a
a
win.
win.
And that's the majority of my clients.
Honestly, like for me, I don't know. For me, it's a win for me when I'm able to like hear my client, like hear their needs and feel like I've addressed them. Because like even if they get a jail sentence, right? Like if I feel like I was attentive to my client's needs and I heard my client and my client felt like they were being heard and validated and are okay with the decision at the end of the day, and it's a better outcome for them than that would have been, I think that's a win for me, bro.
Can y'all walk me through the whole experience as best as you can? Like, because I think most people I've never been in a courtroom before, not that I can think of, so I probably haven't. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of people have not. Probably a lot of people's time to go on is like jury duty or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk me through like the whole experience? Like, I walk into the building, the room, the judge is here, the people is here, the families is here. This is the tension in the room. This is the pressure. You got the other person that I'm going against. You know, I don't know if help me realize, like, bring me into the world real quick as best as you can visually through your words.
Let's do it in the concept of an arraignment. I'll start it. You fill in. So let's say you get arrested, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you get arrested, and from the moment you get arrested to when we get released, or if you do get released.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it's 7 p.m. right now. Let's say it was, and I got arrested. I'm gonna be taken back to the precinct. It's gonna take hours to process me, and it's probably not gonna be until tomorrow morning that I am brought to the courthouse, and I'm gone through central booking, and I'm now waiting to see a lawyer. So maybe tomorrow morning, hopefully, is now.
Hopefully.
Court, we don't really get there. Court don't really get going till like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So like I might not see a lawyer until maybe 10 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock. That's on a good day. 12 hours? No, most people are in custody for about 20 hours before they get a chance to speak to a lawyer, before their case is ready to be seen by a judge. So I've already been arrested for about a day. So then what happens is someone calls my name on the intercom and is like, "Hey, Imani, go to this door," and it's a, "Hey, I'm your lawyer. This is what you're being charged with." The DA is either asking for bail or agreeing for you to go home, get released. And I have like 5 to 10 minutes to kind of like get this person's life story, get as much information as I can from this person to advocate for their release or not. And then the next step is they're seen by the judge, and they are brought out in cuffs with a police officer standing right behind them. And we're right next to our client, the DA is right next to us, and the judge is right in front of us. And there's a officer who like reads the charge. This person charged with A, B, and C. This is his number, and then we go through our process. And in an ideal world, this person gets released. We stay in touch with this person. He has a court date for the next couple of months. In a non-ideal world, the DA asks for bail. This person can't afford bail. He ends up going to Rikers. And then he's going to be at Rikers until he can either make bail, or we can find another way for him to get released.
Jesus Christ.
Anything? Did I miss anything?
No, that's arraignment. And
Christ.
I think the one thing people always like ask for is like, oh, the person that's accusing me, they need to show up to court. They need to show up to court. They don't. They don't have to be there unless and until you go to trial and they're testifying.
Yeah.
That's the only time you will ever see that person in court is if they're testifying against you at trial. Wow. Otherwise, they don't need to make it to any one of those court dates.
Which on average will take about a year before your case is going to go to trial. At least a year. And one thing I want to add, Wolf, to in terms of like what court is like. So once you've gone through that first arraignment, it's called your arraignment, when you read your charges and you're released. Then you're coming to court now for the next 4 to 6 weeks until your case resolves. And I want to kind of highlight what that looks like in terms of going to court regularly. So now let's say I got court because I got to go check in with what's going on with my case. Court opens at 9:30. Sometimes the judge doesn't get there till 10, and each courtroom has a docket, meaning they have the number of cases that's scheduled for that day. Sometimes it can be 30, sometimes it could be 40, and each case has things going on with it. So what people are doing is they're literally waiting around all day for the lawyer to get there and for their case to be seen by the judge. And on average, each actual appearance, like each time, the amount of seconds that someone spends talking to a judge It's less than a minute.
Tell him.
This is the update with the case. This is what's going on. All right, new court date. Come back in a month and a half.
That's it.
You wait all that time for that.
Literally waiting around all day. And this is, I think, what sometimes with some of the bad rep from public defenders comes in. You'll have people who are waiting there. Literally. So what happens is like our court breaks at 1 o'clock for lunch, opens back up at 2:15. You have clients that are waiting there all day till 3 for the lawyer to get there. Lawyer will show up and it's like, the whole day is gone. These our clients took off work. Maybe our clients got childcare issues. And sometimes you have lawyers who just aren't communicating with them and the clients are waiting on all day. Or show up and be like, what's your name again?
Yeah. Like it ain't nothing.
Yeah, man.
Damn. Fuck.
I don't think we answered the question though about
which one? Oh, about not giving up.
Not giving up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll give you an answer to that question. I just did a trial, an attempted murder trial.
Craziest story.
Crazy trial.
Listen.
My client was acquitted. He was found not guilty. I'll get there. I think this is like throughout the case, this is an example of just like not giving up because I'll give you like a short backstory of what's going on. Like the allegations are, my client was out near a chicken store in the Bronx at night, and then ran into the complaining witness. And the story is that they had an argument. And my client was alleged to kick this guy's stuff over. He had like a bin of stuff. Kick this guy's stuff over, follow him behind some cars, and then shoot him. Right? Now, there's a video of the incident, right? There's a video of an individual on the camera that looks like my client. Gets in an argument with somebody else and kicks his stuff over and then follows him behind the car. Now, you can't really see anything that happens after that. Then there's another camera angle. And you see two people kind of go out in the street and you see one of them keel over and fall over like they've been shot. Right. And so, the prosecution alleges that my client shot this guy. Now, this guy, the complainant, he goes to the hospital, right? And the police try to talk to him one day. They try to do an ID procedure with him, right? Where they ask him, do you recognize anybody in this photo array? My client's picture was one of the people in this photo array. Guy says, I can't really see. I don't have glasses. Now, the police officer notes, in his notes, this guy has never been seen with glasses before, during, or after this incident. Police knows that. Police don't even care. They go and buy this guy a pair of glasses, right? For $3. They don't know his prescription.
Right. That's because I wear glasses. So I was like, how you...
They go and buy a $3 pair of glasses, and then they come back and they have this guy do an ID procedure again. And lo and behold, this guy can now ID my client in this lineup. He IDs my client as someone he knows from the area. He doesn't say this is the guy who shot me, because they ask you, like, how do you know this individual? And the guy says, I know him from this area, right? It's part of the story. Now, the real issue is, how do they get to my client? How do they arrest my client, right? Because like my client's not arrested that night. So they use some video cameras. There's cameras everywhere in New York, y'all. So they follow my client all the way back to his house, right? And they go to the building where they think my client lives. They talk to the super. Super's like, I don't know who you're talking about, right? And so they can't get anything from the super. So they ask the social worker in the building, do you know? They give my client's name, right? But these people don't know anything. They didn't see the crime. They don't know what occurred. They didn't see the video. Yeah. They don't know nothing. They're just like, oh, okay, I kind of know this guy by this name, right? And that's all the information the police have at this time, right? Now, at some point, randomly, they talk to a confidential informant, right? And the confidential informant passes the police some information, right? They say, this guy named so-and-so, I heard in the neighborhood that this guy named so-and-so shot somebody else. Right. And they also say, I heard that the person who got shot pulled a knife out. Right. Now, do you think I got any of that information? No. Yeah. No. Right. All I got was one police paperwork with this conversation. But the DA told me that 3 ID procedures existed with this confidential informant. I didn't get any of that ID paperwork. Right. And I didn't get a picture of the glasses the police said they bought. Didn't get a receipt for the glasses. I asked for this stuff over and over and over, right? And then we did a hearing, a pretrial hearing, we asked the judge to keep some evidence out of the case, right? If it was illegally obtained, right? And one of the ways that can happen is if we are at this hearing and the prosecution hasn't done what they needed to do to show the judge that the police acted legally in the scenario in obtaining whatever evidence, right? Now, I make arguments at this hearing and I say the prosecution hasn't done what they needed to do for you, judge, because you have heard nothing about this confidential informant who is a person that gave the police the probable cause to arrest my client.
Mm-hmm.
Judge doesn't care. Judge is like, you can't even, like, judge won't even let me ask questions about this confidential informant, right? The whole reason my client was arrested was the information this guy passed. The judge wouldn't let me ask the cop these questions, right? So I appealed to a higher judge, like, hey, judge, you know, I should have been allowed to ask questions about this. I learned that there's this protective order, which is just like an order from a judge saying like certain pieces of evidence can be kept away from the eyes of somebody. I learned that there is a protective order for this confidential informant stuff that says I never get to see that information unless and until the confidential informant testifies at trial. Now, they're never going to have a confidential informant testify at trial. The prosecution's not going to do that because they don't want us to know this guy's identity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole reason he's confidential.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is
Right.
I'm never going to get this information that is a basis for my client's arrest. And I asked over and over and over and over, and the judge wouldn't give it to me, right? Didn't take no for an answer though, right? We went to trial, right? And our defense theory was that this guy shot himself, right? Like he had some convictions in the past for gun possession. It's very clear that that individual was dealing with an addiction. And so our theory was like, this guy brought a gun to the scene, was scared when my client kicked his shit over,
Mm-hmm.
tried to pull out a gun and shoot my client, but he was too high and he shot himself, right? The injury, the bullet path was, it hit the left hip and traveled through the groin and hit in his thigh, right? So we were saying like this dude had the gun in his pocket and he was fumbling with it
Sense,
and he
bro.
shot himself, bro.
Yeah.
And we won the trial. We won the trial, right? And so all the no's the judge kept giving me about this confidential informant stuff, right? It finally came to fruition when the jury was like, yeah, you don't have enough to say that my client shot this guy beyond a reasonable doubt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think that's a long example of me just not taking
No, that was
no
great
for an
though.
answer.
It needed to be that in depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Crazy.
Fuck, man.
People get arrested based on very like sparse facts, bro.
What's up with the judge keeping shit from the trial though? Like, what's up with that?
It's crazy,
It's
bro.
like, what you doing that for? Like, what's your reasons?
Because I feel like a lot of judges' knee-jerk reactions are if the prosecution is asking for something, the judge should give it to them, right? I think that's a knee-jerk reaction by all judges.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but I mean, one reason is because most judges are former prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They got that mindset.
yeah.
My story is real quick, but so I had a client who she was addicted, and this guy was providing her with drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and for like a couple of days she was sleeping in his car. This particular day, she was sleeping in his car while he was driving. Cops tried to pull the car over. He starts driving away. So it's like this high speed chase.
Mm.
Car crashes. Cops get to the car. When they get to the car, they find two guns in the car.
Mm.
One gun that was in the front passenger seat, another gun that was in a fanny pack that was on my client's lap.
Mm.
When they get there, like you can see on a body cam, my client's like just waking up. She's like, what's happened here? And like this, it just happened to be on her lap.
Mm.
And so she gets arrested for the gun. Bell gets set in her case. She's in Rikers for a while. Even though he was driving, even though he had the two guns, he had money. So he paid bail, got out. So she's in, he's out.
Mm.
While he's out, he gets arrested again for another gun with another woman in the car. And in that case, the woman's like, yeah, the gun was mine. But like, he has this demonstrated MO of like being in a car with guns with women,
Mm.
and women are getting jammed up for the guns that he's in. And it's to me, it was very obvious that this gun didn't belong to our client, and my client had told me no. Like I think maybe he threw the bag on me when he was being chased, but like I've never seen that gun. I've never held a gun. I have no guns, and like I believed her.
Mm-hmm.
And I told this to the DA many times. The DA just was like, I don't know. I don't believe it. One thing that we rarely do, and it's kind of advised not to, is to have our clients like sit down and speak with DAs. And I was like, no, this is a case where I think it should happen. So like I prepared my client. She sat down, spoke to this DA, told her story, and I'm like, okay, do you believe her? And also, our client just has a whole bunch of trauma. She has been on her own since she was like 17 years old. She had been brought into the world of prostitution for a while. She's addicted. Like she really has a hard life.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very clear in terms of the legal question. To me, it was very clear that this guy has guns, and women are just being innocently, attributed to it. And it took so long for me to get this DA to agree to like really look into the case. But I was nagging enough. To her and to the DA, and eventually she dismissed the case, which is really rare. In most cases, in the gun case, like a good outcome is a misdemeanor or probation, or you still get a conviction. But to be able to have a client that was in a car with 2 guns, walk away with no criminal record, I think that if I wasn't as zealous in my advocacy for this person, she could have walked away with a criminal record, or she could have walked away being on probation right now.
Yeah.
Wow. So I was proud of my advocacy in that case.
That's great, man. Shout out to you guys, man, for real. My last question is, what do you guys want? What is your like overall goal for the Brothers-in-Law podcast? Like when it's all said and done, if you can have shit your way completely, you know what I mean? What is it that you want? What impact do you want this podcast to have? And try to give me something that's like specific. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that you want to be different from having this podcast?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. I want. I'll be broad and then specific.
Okay, cool.
I want people to know the truth and the realities about the criminal legal system.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want people to walk away with, and really in 2 ways. I want people to hear real life human impact the stories of how they've been impacted by the system.
Yes, bro.
And I want people to have to be faced with that and like, okay, this is what's really happening with people in real life.
Yeah.
This is what happens when somebody gets incarcerated.
Yeah.
So I want people to be exposed to the reality of what happens within our criminal legal system. And then the second part is I want people to be educated, and I want people to be safer because they watched our episode and they now can maneuver a bit more smart. Before they call the cops, they will understand, okay, these are all the consequences if I call this police officer. Maybe I can try to resolve this without getting the police involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are the things that I want people to get from the podcast. I want people to be able to maneuver smarter and really be safer out here because they've learned something from our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to also be exposed to the truth and realities of what the legal system, the harms of the legal system, and how it really preys on our people.
That's good. That's good.
I want what Imani wants, but I would add that I want people to take these conversations back to their friend groups, to their families, and have these conversations.
Hell
right?
Yeah.
So exposure, right? Like, like I hope that it exposes our listeners to it, but I hope our listeners expose these ideas to their family members and friends in the community. And, hopefully one day with that exposure, we can all come to a different understanding of how the world can work, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be how it is now. Like, we can change things, right? And like it's the people who have the power to do that.
Yeah.
I've had somebody literally because of an episode be like, you know what, maybe it is wrong to kill people who have killed people.
That's powerful.
And then they'll be like, you know what, maybe just throw them in jail for life. I'm like, all right,
they moving though.
There's still work to do here.
But they moving.
This is why we do what we do, to get these conversations going and really get at the fundamental changes in people, how they
yeah, bro. Yeah. I mean, man, listen, people on average, there's a lot of smart people out here, and if they just have access to the information, it would change a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
People just need to hear something. Like, you could just say something that somebody would hear and be like, oh damn, like I never heard nobody even say nothing remotely similar to that in regarding to like my freedom and what I can and what I can't do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because too busy, we just feel like just victims. It's like when they come through, it's like, get down and lay down, bro. That's all you need to know. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't say nothing. You don't got no choices. You don't got no options.
Yeah.
Bring it back to something you said earlier. I mean, it's a word he just used, exposure, bro.
Yeah,
like
exposure.
You said, the white people in New York are different because they exposed to ideas that other people aren't exposed to.
That's true, bro.
We can all be different with exposure to ideas, you know?
Bruh. Thank y'all so much for being here, bro.
For sure.
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot, man. Definitely my favorite episode of 2025 so far.
Hey.
Yeah, for sure. I'm honored that you guys gave me some of your time. I know y'all work hard. Y'all got families. You got people in your life. So I really appreciate y'all being here when y'all could be doing anything else, man.
Yo, shout out you too, bro.
Yeah.
I know you know this, but like I've come to you for a lot of questions about this podcast, business. So thank you, really,
for sure, no doubt.
All the time you've taken, all the answers you've answered, and like I know that I am better off in my podcast endeavor because I have access to
the power
you.
of community.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's the power of
I
community.
really appreciate it, bro.
No, likewise, bro. I really believe in y'all, bro. You know what I mean?
Appreciate
and again,
it,
like,
bro.
I literally think, I think that there's a world where I might put myself in the Guinness World Book of Records of recording the most podcasts of anybody in the world. I think that might actually be a fact, like for real.
Wow.
Especially because I've been doing this for 3-4 years. I'm sometimes doing 7 shows a day,
Man.
7 days a week. You know what I mean? You do the math. And I've never seen a pod like y'all's, like ever. You know what I mean? And so I really do think that there's like a lot of potential and high scalability for what it is y'all do. Like highly, like, I can't tell you everything you need to do to get there, who can, but I can definitely tell you that nobody else is doing this. Nobody. So if you keep it going, it's limitless, bro. It's limitless. But before I sign this out, man, please, how can people find you? Let's get the people in tune with who you are, bro.
All the socials.
The socials,
For
bro.
the family. Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Let me briefly explain that. So the podcast is one component of the organization that's called For the Family.
Okay.
So For the Family is an overarching business.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For the Family has 3 components. It has the podcast. It has a scholarship fund that I created, and the scholarship fund is for aspiring public defenders. So like last year, we awarded 3 Black women who graduated law school and got jobs in public defender offices. We gave them one person $1,000 and 2 $500 during their bar prep studying period. So podcast, scholarship, and the 3rd component is programming. So I do Know Your Rights trainings. I've done it for schools. I've done it for the New York Times. I've done it for any organization or company that needs a Know Your Rights training, particularly when it comes to like police encounters and things like that. I facilitate those trainings. So all that to say, you want to find us, you can find us on social media.
Yeah.
The Instagram is For the Family PLLC. That will give y'all recaps of everything. You can see a lot of our clips from the podcast that's there. My personal account is A Brother-in-Law, all one word. A Brother-in-Law, all one word. Tune in, check in with me, and check out the podcast.
Yeah. My personal account, my name, Conrad_Blackburn. Blackburn, how it sounds.
So the podcast Brothers-in-Law and For the Family is in the same place.
Yes. For the Family is a big umbrella. It's the name of the actual business, the company. And then within it, it hosts the Brothers-in-Law podcast.
Okay. Listen, man, if you're a supporter of mine, if you've been rocking on my show, if you fuck with Wolf T, if you fuck with what I got going on, please support these guys. Please go follow them. Get very familiar with what it is what they're doing. Please spread the word. Please share the clips. Leave a rating and review on their podcast. Please leave comments in the reels. Get in tune with these guys. You know what I mean? It's obviously we know, people saying all the time defund podcasts and shit like that because it's like so many podcasts that are just really
especially Black men. Right? They come for
for
Black
sure.
men with a podcast.
For sure. They be killing me. You know what I mean? They be killing me.
They
you know
really?
what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
I don't even care no more. You know what I mean? But please support them however you can because the podcasting is really hard and everybody. We all living in America. You never know when some of this information might be applicable to you. You know what I mean? And so it's good to get in tune with a good source and it's better to be ready to keep from getting ready. You know what I mean? It's like maybe if you already know a place where you can reach out to them and I don't know, maybe ask for some advice. However it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because we got to say this.
Yeah.
What we do
is
yes,
we don't give free legal advice.
We
just give out free game.
It's free game.
That's it.
If you ever need some free game,
you go.
make sure you already connected so you ain't scrambling for it later. Like instead of all the Google searches and all the the cold, faceless, lack of personality information. Maybe you listen to their catalog and they might have covered something that you already going through. You know what I mean? No matter what year you're listening to this, because I think this is going to be a really timeless episode. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for being here. Y'all already know.
It's love.
You know, this is the mantra, the outro, the religion of the brand. Whenever I'm working, I will remember that done is better than perfect. And if I'm satisfied with my work, then that means that I'm living in my purpose. This is the Halfway Up Podcast. We must stay healthy. We out of here.
Yes, sir.
Man. Not bad.
We could have kept going for the 2 hours,
man.
man. I didn't want to stop, bro.